You ever notice how everyone says, I made money? Like they built it themselves in their garage with a hammer, a wrench, and some fairy dust. Keybrith, no, you didn't make money. You earned some numbers on a screen that some guy in a suit pretends is real. Ibricky money isn't real. It's an illusion with a logo. The paper's worth less than the coffee stain you left on it. Ibruch and people say, money doesn't buy happiness. Ibrik, oh really? Then why does the happiest guy in town always drive the biggest car and live in the house with the gate that opens by itself? I'm not saying money buys happiness, but it sure pays the rent for misery. Here's the thing. You don't own money. Money owns you. You ever seen a man chasing after his wallet like it's running away with his dignity? Hubris. That's modern life, folks. You work 8 hours a day, 5 days a week for 40 years, so you can finally die in a house that technically belongs to the bank. Congratulations. You just spent your life renting your own life from a corporation. Key Berggren, what do we do with money once we get it? We give it right back to the same people who gave it to us. EOS, where you get paid. Then boom, rent, bills, taxes, insurance, all gone before you even get to smell it. Dave Berkowitz, that's not ownership. That's a hostage situation. We've become slaves to the green paper god. Abe Brook, we worship it. We fight wars for it. We even marry people for it. And when we finally get a little extra, we put it in a bank, a place that takes your money, lends it to someone else, and gives you a thank you in the form of 0.02% interest. Abdibur. That's not an investment. That's an insult with decimals. You see, the system is designed beautifully. They make you think you're in control, that you own things, but stop paying your bills for a month, and you'll find out who really owns what. Ibrahim, miss your mortgage. The bank owns your house. Miss your taxes. The government owns your land. Ibrahim, miss your job. Well, the stress owns you. So no, my friends, you don't own money. Abrahwa money owns your time, your energy, your sleep, and probably your sanity too. You're not the master of money, you're just the butler who keeps it clean and moving. Ibrahim, when you die, guess what? You can't take it with you. Ibrahim, but your relatives will still fight over it. So here's my advice, Ibrahim. Next time you see money, don't call it yours. Ibrahim, just smile and say, hello, boss. You ever stop and think about money? Not just having it or not having it, but the idea of it, because that's where the real joke starts. People walk around acting like they own money, like it's this loyal little dog that sits by their side ready to fetch whatever they want. But the truth is, money doesn't belong to you. It never did. You're the one on the leash, being pulled around by a piece of paper with some dead guy's face on it. You don't own money. Money owns you. It runs your schedule, your choices, your dreams, and your blood pressure. You wake up thinking about it, you go to sleep worrying about it, and in between, you work your tail off just to keep it from running away. That doesn't sound like ownership. That sounds like a hostage negotiation. Think about how much of your life revolves around money. You don't even need a clock anymore. Your bills are your new calendar. First week of the month, rent. Second week, electricity. Third week, internet and water. Fourth week, panic. Every single thing in your life has a price tag. Even your free time isn't free. You're just paying for it in advance by exhausting yourself during the week. People don't have hobbies anymore. They have investments disguised as fun. Oh, I play golf on weekends, yeah? That's not a hobby, buddy. That's a down payment on stress relief. Ibrui, and let's talk about work. That beautiful scam we call a job. We were told, work hard, save your money, and someday you'll be free. Free from what? Breathing? You work 8 hours a day, 5 days a week, sometimes 6. For what? For the privilege of surviving another M. Onth. You're not working to live, you're living to work. And the funny part is, the harder you work, the less time you have to actually enjoy the money you earned. You spend all your energy chasing the paper, and by the time you catch it, you're too tired to do anything with it. So you sit there, surrounded by the very thing that was supposed to make you happy, feeling just as empty as before, only now you've got back pain and unpaid credit cards. It's wild how people talk about money like it's a person. I need to save money. Money doesn't grow on trees. Money talks. Yeah, money talks all right. It tells you where to go, what to do, and when to panic. Money doesn't sit quietly in your wallet. It whispers in your ear at night. Don't forget the car payment. Don't forget the insurance. Don't forget the loan. It's the most demanding relationship you'll ever have. And no matter how much you give it, it always wants more. You can't please it. You can't satisfy it. You can't even keep it loyal, because the moment you turn your back, it's gone, off to someone else who already has too much of it. People say money isn't everything, but it sure decides who gets to say that. The ones who already have plenty are the first to remind you that money doesn't buy happiness. Of course not. Happiness comes with the house, the car, and the beach view. The rest of us are just renting joy by the hour. We act like money is a tool, but in reality, we're the tools being used by money. Look around. Every decision, every product, every ad on your phone is designed to remind you that you don't have enough. It's the world's biggest magic trick. They make you believe you're in control while you spend your entire life chasing something they print by the billions. And the best part, they convince you that it's your fault when you don't have enough of it. Work harder, they say. Be N. Bruv. You think you own money? Try missing a bill. Watch how fast the tone changes. The moment you fall behind, you'll find out who really owns what. The bank owns your house, the government owns your land, and your job owns your time. You don't even own your name once you sign that loan agreement. We just another number in a database, another account holder. And let's not forget taxes. You pay taxes on what you earn, on what you buy, on what you own, and even when you die. They literally tax you for existing. You're not a citizen. You're an open wallet with a social security number. It's funny how people are proud to show off their money. They post pictures of cash, cars, and watches like they achieved something spiritual. But money doesn't change who you are. It just exposes it. You give a fool money, you get a richer fool. You give a kind person money, you get someone who helps others. The difference isn't the cash, it's the character. But society doesn't care about character anymore. It cares about credit scores. It cares about followers, about brand names, about how much your watch costs and whether your shoes were made in Italy or a sweatshop pretending to be one. And here's the kicker. Even the people who say they hate money still depend on it. The minimalist, the monk, the philosopher, they all need donations, funding, or somebody else's paycheck to keep their ideals alive. Money's like oxygen. You don't notice how much you need it until you're choking without it. You can swear you don't care about it, but try living without it for a month. Suddenly, every door that used to open starts requiring a password, a PIN, or a payment plan. You don't own money because ownership means control. And money controls you in ways you can't even see. It dictates your education. What school you go to depends on how much your parents could pay. It controls your health. You get sick, and suddenly your wallet's in intensive care. It even controls your love. E-life, half the relationships in the world, and not because of love lost, but because of loans gained. People don't break up, they just get divorced by debt. Even the dreams we have are filtered through money. You want to travel, you want to explore, you want to build something, and before you can even imagine the adventure, you're calculating the cost. You start dreaming in EMI. Every dream comes with a receipt. And when you finally get what you want, you're already thinking, how am I going to pay for this? That's not freedom. That's financial imprisonment dressed up as ambition. Ebroqui money owns your mind too. It decides how you see yourself and others. If you have it, you walk taller, you speak louder, you think you matter more. If you don't, you shrink, you hesitate, you apologize for existing. Society teaches you that your worth is measured in currency, not character. So we spend our lives trying to look successful, even if it means pretending. We buy clothes we can't afford, drive cars we don't need, live in houses we can barely maintain. All to convince people we don't even like that we've made it. The real trick is that money doesn't just buy things, it buys time. The rich buy their time back, the poor sell it hour by hour. And that's how you know who really owns what. The man with money can take a vacation whenever he wants. The man without it asks permission to take a day off. Ownership isn't about property, it's about freedom. And most of us are paying rent on our freedom with every swipe of a debit card. Ibrahim money is the great puppeteer. It doesn't yell, doesn't threaten. It just tugs the strings. You think you're making choices, where to work, what to buy, what to eat, but most of those choices were already made for you by someone with more money than you'll ever see. Even your opinions are influenced by who paid for the ad that told you what to think. It's a game, and the players at the top don't even hide it anymore. They own the board. They print the rules, and they change them whenever they want. You're not a player, you're just a piece moving around, hoping to pass go without landing in debt. So no, you don't own money. You're just renting it from the universe until it finds a better host. It flows in and out like a tide, but you're always standing knee deep in it, trying not to drown. You don't tell it what to do. It tells you when to wake up, when to eat, when to work, when to panic, and when to sleep. It doesn't belong to you, you belong to it. Money isn't just a part of life, it is life, at least the way society designed it. And the punchline? Most of it isn't even real. It's just numbers on a screen, promises in pixels, and we all worship it like it's God. Maybe one day we'll figure it out, that the only thing more valuable than money is peace. But until then, keep working, keep paying, and keep pretending you own it. Because as long as money runs the world, you're just another employee in its company, clocking in every day to serve the boss. And that boss's name is money. The system is rigged. It's always been rigged. And the funniest part is that everyone knows it, but nobody wants to admit it out loud. We're all stuck in this giant game, and the house always wins. The system isn't broken. It's working exactly the way it was designed, to keep a few people sitting comfortably at the top while the rest of us fight over the crumbs that fall off their golden table. And we call that opportunity. We're told to work hard, stay disciplined, save our money, and someday we'll get ahead. But ahead of what? Ahead of whom? You can't win a race if the finish line keeps moving and the other guy owns the track, the stopwatch, and the referee. They tell you from childhood, go to school, get good grades, get a good job. That's the formula, right? But nobody tells you that the education system is part of the scam. You spend the first 20 years of your life memorizing facts, taking tests, and learning how to follow instructions, not how to think. Because the system doesn't want thinkers, it wants workers. It doesn't want you questioning why things are the way they are. It wants you obedient, predictable, and grateful for your tiny slice of the pie. You come out of school already in debt for your education, and they hand you a bill before they hand you a diploma. Welcome to adulthood, where your first lesson is, you owe us. Hebrew. Then you get a job, the great reward for all that effort. You sit in a cubicle, staring at a screen, pushing buttons for 8 hours a day so someone else can afford a yacht. You call it a career, they call it labor costs. Every 2 weeks you get a paycheck that disappears faster than it arrives. Taxes, rent, groceries, gas, insurance. By the time you're done, you're left with enough to maybe buy a coffee and pretend you're treating yourself. And that's how they keep you hooked. Just enough to survive, never enough to escape. The system keeps you busy, tired, and distracted. Because a tired worker doesn't revolt. They just scroll. Look around. Everything is a subscription now. You don't own anything anymore. You subscribe to your car, your music, your movies, your software, even your meals. You're not a customer, you're a revenue stream. You think you have choices, but the choices were chosen for you. They make sure no matter what you pick, The money flows back to the same people. You buy Nike, you buy Adidas, doesn't matter. You watch Netflix or Disney Plus, same investors. You vote red or blue, same donors. The illusion of choice is the glue that keeps this whole circus running. Abercrombie, they built this masterpiece of manipulation. You work for money that doesn't exist, just digital numbers on a screen. You pay taxes to governments that owe trillions to banks. You borrow money from banks that created out of thin air. Then you spend your life paying back something that was never real in the first place. It's the greatest magic trick ever performed. And they didn't even need a rabbit. They just waved a pen and a contract. You're told to save your money, but inflation eats it faster than you can store it. You're told to invest, but the stock market is a casino where the house already knows the cards. You're told to buy property, but the bank still owns the deed until you've spent 30 years paying interest. You're told to retire at 60, but by the time you get there, they've raised the retirement age, changed the rules, and adjusted the benefits. It's like trying to run a marathon on a treadmill. You never move, but they keep clapping like you're making progress. They even use hope as a tool. The lottery, the influencer lifestyle, the entrepreneur fantasy, all bait. They show you one person who made it, so you'll believe that you might too. You'll keep buying, keep working, keep playing along. But statistically, you've got a better chance of being struck by lightning while riding a dolphin than becoming the next millionaire. It's not impossible. It's just UNL. Likely enough to keep you dreaming and unlikely enough to keep you desperate. And when the system breaks down, like in a crisis, a pandemic, or a recession, notice who gets rescued. The billionaires get bailouts, the corporations get relief, and the average person gets advice. Hang in there, they say. Tighten your belt. You can't tighten it anymore. It's already cutting off your circulation. You lose your job, your savings, your peace of mind, and they tell you it's part of the cycle. Whose cycle? It sure isn't yours. The funniest part? We still defend the system. We fight each other over crumbs, while the people who bake the cake watch from their mansions. We argue about minimum wage, about politics, about who's lazy and who's not, all while the billionaires laugh. They don't care who wins the argument, as long as you're distracted from realizing they already won the game. Divide and conquer. It's the oldest trick in the book, and it still works beautifully. Keep the poor fighting the middle class, keep the middle class chasing the rich, and make sure nobody ever looks at the top. Even the idea of success has been hijacked. Success used to mean freedom, happiness, purpose. Now it means debt, exhaustion, and pretending everything's fine for social media. The system trains you to compare, to consume, to compete. You see someone with more, and instead of asking why the system rewards excess over decency, you blame yourself for not working harder. You internalize the scam. That's how deep the control goes. They don't even have to chain you. They just program you to hold the chain yourself. And let's not forget the corporate ladder, that holy staircase to nowhere. You climb and climb thinking there's gold at the top, but by the time you get there, you realize it's just another floor with nicer carpets and more stress. The higher you go, the less time you have for the things that actually matter. You trade your health, your family, your sanity for a bigger desk and a slightly better parking spot. And if you're lucky, you'll retire just in time to enjoy a few years before your body gives up from all the years you spent sitting under fluorescent lights. Meanwhile, the rich don't play by the same rules. They don't earn money, own systems that generate it for them. Their money works 24 hours a day, while yours punches in and out like a tired factory worker. They use loopholes, tax shelters, offshore accounts, and when they get caught, they call it business strategy. You miss a tax payment, and they call it a crime. Justice wears a blindfold, but somehow it always peeks at your bank balance first. Abram, you think the government's going to fix it? The government works for the same people who built the system. Politicians are like customer service representatives for billionaires. They smile, they nod, they make promises, and then they put you on hold while they cash the checks. They keep you busy with culture wars, social media outrage, and election drama so you never notice who's signing their paychecks. And the media, the media's not there to inform you. It's there to entertain you just enough to keep you docile. They feed you fear, drama, and distraction. Because if you're afraid, you're compliant. If you're entertained, you're not asking questions. They show you reality TV, not real reality. They make sure you care about celebrity divorces more than economic slavery. It's not an accident, it's design. Every system you interact with, from healthcare to housing, is monetized. You get sick, they profit. You get educated, they profit. You die, they profit. The average person spends their life working to make the rich richer and then dies in debt, leaving their children to start the same cycle all over again. That's not progress, that's a treadmill with better graphics. Abru, the worst part, we've normalized it. We call it the way things are. We don't even imagine alternatives anymore. We don't talk about fairness. We talk about financial literacy. Like, the problem is that we're too dumb to understand the scam. We're told to adapt, to hustle, to grind, but grinding doesn't fix a broken machine. It just wears you down faster. Every commercial, every billboard, every social media ad is designed to keep you buying into the system, literally. They sell you debt as empowerment. They sell you interest as opportunity. They sell you slavery with a smile and call it convenience. And you buy it because what choice do you have? You can't opt out of the game when the game is the world itself. Hebrew. So yeah, the system is rigged. It's not a glitch. It's the feature. The economy isn't designed to make everyone wealthy. It's designed to keep the few wealthy and the many working. You're not climbing the ladder. You're holding it steady while someone else climbs. And the moment you stop holding it, they'll find someone else who's desperate enough to take your place. That's how it stays alive. Not by fairness, not by justice, but by fear. Fear of losing your job, your home, your status, your security. Fear keeps the machine running, and money is the fuel. Maybe one day people will stop believing the lie that hard work alone leads to success. Because in this system, it's not about how hard you work. It's about how well connected you are, how protected you are, and how willing you are to play by the rules of a game that was never meant for you to win. Until then, we'll keep clocking in, keep paying, keep scrolling, and keep pretending that the system isn't laughing at us. True ownership is a fantasy, a bedtime story told to keep you quiet while someone else collects the rent. You think you own your house? Stop paying the mortgage and see how fast it becomes someone else's. You think you own your car? Miss a few payments and you'll find it sitting in a tow yard faster than you can say repossession. The truth is, you don't own anything. Not really. The government, the bank, the corporations, they own it all. You're just renting your life. One monthly payment at a time. And they've convinced you to call that freedom. It's genius when you think about it. They don't need to take your rights by force. They just sell them back to you at 12% interest. Ownership used to mean something. Once upon a time, when you built a house, it was yours. You worked the land, grew your food, traded your goods, and if you were lucky, your children inherited what you built. Now, you can spend your entire life paying for a house that isn't really yours, on land you don't own, using money that loses value while you're earning it. You call it your dream home, but it's more like a long-term rental with emotional attachments. You can paint the walls, sure, but stop paying taxes and watch how quickly the government reminds you who the real owner is. Even the word property is a trick. Property sounds permanent, solid, like something that belongs to you. But in reality, you're leasing from a system that never sleeps. There's a reason they call it property tax and not freedom tax. Because if you own it, why are you still paying for it every year? You don't pay rent on your soul, but you do on your shelter. That's not ownership. That's permission. You don't own your house. You're just paying a recurring fee for the right not to be homeless. Cars, phone, software, it's all the same scam. You buy a car, but the manufacturer owns the data in it. You buy a phone, but the company owns the software. You agree to terms and conditions that are longer than religious texts. And somewhere buried in there is a line that says, you don't actually own this product. You're not a customer. You're a user. And as long as you're a user, they can take away access anytime they want. Miss a payment, violate a policy, say the wrong thing online, boom, access denied. It's like modern life is one big lease agreement you never fully read. Think about digital ownership, the biggest illusion of all. You buy music, movies, books, apps, but what you're really buying is a license to borrow them until the company decides otherwise. They can remove a movie from your library, delete an app you paid for, or shut down a service entirely, and you have no say in it. You don't own your digital life any more than you own the internet connection you rent to access it. And yet, people keep spending, downloading, subscribing, believing they're collecting something real. We went from physical chains to Wi-Fi ones, and we call it progress. Hey, Barbara, even your job isn't really yours. You can give 20 years of loyalty to a company, and one day they'll call you into a meeting room with a plant and a security guard and tell you your position has been eliminated. They'll give you a handshake, a severance package, and a reminder that you were never part of the company, just part of its machinery. They'll replace you before you've even packed your desk. The system trains you to invest your identity in your job, your car, your house, your stuff, so that when it takes those things away, it takes you with them. The whole concept of ownership is a psychological trap. It gives you a sense of control in a world where you actually have none. You feel secure knowing you own something, even if that something comes with 100 conditions attached. It's like being told you're the captain of a ship, but the ship's on loan, the sea's rented, and the compass subscription expires next week. You're steering, sure, but not in any direction you actually... Oos. Abraki. And let's talk about land, the original scam. How do you own a piece of the earth? You didn't make it. You didn't plant it. You didn't carve it out of the void. You just drew imaginary lines and decided, this is mine. Then you pay other people for permission to keep calling it yours. The planet doesn't care who signed what document. It was here before us, and it'll be here long after we're gone. We're just temporary tenants with really bad attitudes. The earth leases us time. We just pretend it leases us property. The idea of ownership keeps you compliant. It keeps you working, striving, and fighting for things that don't truly belong to you. It's the carrot on the stick. You spend your life chasing the illusion, the house, the car, the retirement plan. And by the time you realize it was all rented happiness, you're too tired to chase anymore. You think you're working toward independence, but you're actually buying your own leash, one payment at a time. Even freedom has been commodified. You can't be free unless you can afford it. Want to travel? Pay for a passport, a visa, tickets, and taxes. Want to speak freely? Better hope you can afford the legal fees if someone powerful doesn't like what you said. Want to live simply off the grid? You'll still need to buy land, pay taxes, and register your existence. The system sells you the idea of freedom while locking you into contracts that guarantee you'll never fully have it. And what about debt? Debt is ownership in reverse. You don't own the thing, it owns you. You borrow money to buy a house, and for the next 30 years you're a prisoner to the interest rate. You buy a car with financing, and the car isn't yours until it's too old to be worth anything. You use a credit card, and suddenly you're working for the bank instead of yourself. Debt is the invisible handcuff of modern civilization. You don't feel it at first, but it tightens over time. It's how they keep you chasing. You're not working. G, to build wealth. You're working to fill the hole that the system dug beneath you. The funniest part is how we brag about the things we own. We post pictures of houses, cars, and gadgets like they're trophies, but most of them come with payment plans. People flexing their success are often just flexing their monthly installments. You're not showing off wealth. You're showing off credit. You don't own the luxury. The bank does. You're just borrowing prestige until the next bill arrives. And we celebrate that like it's accomplishment. We've turned debt into status. Ibro, even when you die, you can't escape ownership. The system still gets its cut. You die and your estate gets taxed. The government reaches into your grave and says, hey, before you rest in peace, we'll take our share. They even charge for the burial plot, as if you're going to overstay your welcome underground. The final joke is that you spend your whole life paying rent, and when you're gone, your family pays one more time to put you in the dirt. Ownership ends the way it began. Borrowed, conditional, and temporary. Every advertisement, every financial slogan, every motivational poster is designed to keep you chasing ownership. Own your future. Own your success. Own your destiny. Sounds powerful, doesn't it? But behind the words is a quiet truth. They're not selling empowerment, they're selling dependence. They want you to believe ownership equals happiness, so you'll keep buying things that never quite fill the void. The dream of ownership is the system's most successful product. Everyone wants it, but no one truly gets it. And yet people still believe. They work harder, save more, invest smarter, hoping to one day own something outright. But ownership isn't about having. It's about control. And in this system, you never have control. You're always at the mercy of policies, payments, and power structures that you didn't create. You can't own something in a world where every thigh, including your time, belongs to someone else. The 40-hour work week isn't a path to ownership, it's a trade. Your life in exchange for survival. The cruelest trick of all is how ownership divides us. It makes us compete for things that were never meant to be hoarded. We fight our neighbors over fences, argue about who has more, who deserves more, who worked harder. But the people who actually own everything, the corporations, the banks, the governments, they're not fighting. They're united in profit. While we argue about property lines, they quietly redraw the map. Ownership as we know it is a beautiful illusion, shiny, comforting, and fake. It gives you just enough satisfaction to keep you quiet, but never enough freedom to walk away. It's the art of making you believe you're winning while you're actually being rented by the hour. You don't own your stuff owns you. You clean it, maintain it, protect it, insure it, upgrade it, and panic when it breaks. It doesn't serve you. You serve it. You don't control it. It controls your time, your effort, your money, and your sanity. So when people say, I own this, what they really mean is, I've agreed to make payments until I die. The system smiles and lets you keep believing, because belief is the real product. The illusion of ownership keeps you buying, working, and dreaming. And as long as that illusion stays alive, the machine keeps running smoothly. You don't own the system. The system owns you. You ever stop and think about how much time people spend worrying about money? Not just earning it, not just saving it, but worrying about it. It's like this constant hum in the back of your mind, the financial mosquito that never stops buzzing. We wake up and immediately think about it. How much do I have left? Can I afford this? What if something goes wrong? And by the time you go to sleep, money's still there, sitting in the corner of your brain, smoking a cigar and laughing at you. It's not just a number, it's your boss, your therapist, your landlord, and your personal stress coach all rolled into one. Money controls your emotions. It decides when you can smile and when you can panic. You're happy when the paycheck hits, miserable when the bills arrive, and terrified when the credit card statement shows up like a horror movie villain at your door. You're not living, you're just performing emotional gymnastics around your bank balance. You ever see someone check their balance on their phone and their face goes from hope to despair in 0.3 seconds? That's money slapping you across the face saying, you thought you had control, didn't you? We like to tell ourselves that we're the ones making decisions, that we control where the money goes. But that's a cute lie we tell ourselves before reality hits. Because the truth is, money decides where you go. You don't move across cities for adventure. You move because there's a better paycheck. You don't take a new job for fun. You take it because the bills won't pay themselves. You don't even eat what you want half the time. You eat what's on sale. You're not controlling money. You're playing defense against it, hoping it doesn't take the house and the car along with your sanity. It's amazing how money dictates your time. Time, the one thing we can never get back, we just trade it away for tiny green pieces of paper. You give away your daylight hours, your weekends, your youth, your peace, all in exchange for something that disappears faster than you can earn it. You ever think about that? We spend the first half of our lives trading time for money, and the second half spending money to buy back time. You work 40 years so you can retire and finally have time to relax, but by then you're too tired to enjoy it. That's not a life. That's a scam with a calendar attached. And it's not just your time. Money rents space in your brain too. You could be sitting at dinner with your family, trying to enjoy a nice evening, and suddenly your brain goes, hey, did you pay that bill? What if the car breaks down? How much do you have left in the account? And just like that, you're gone, not in the moment anymore, but lost in financial anxiety land. You can't even have a peaceful shower without your brain turning into a spreadsheet. People meditate, do yoga, chant mantras, all to silence that one little voice that whispers, what if you can't afford it? And money's emotional control doesn't stop with individuals. It runs the whole show. Look around. Entire relationships rise and fall because of money. Couples who once swore love is all we need start arguing over credit card bills. Friendships dissolve over borrowed cash. Families stop speaking because of inheritance. Money doesn't just buy things. It buys drama, pain, and awkward Thanksgiving dinners. People talk about love being powerful, but love never made someone work 12-hour shifts at a job they hate just to keep the lights on. Money did that. It even dictates our self-worth. Society trains us to measure our value in dollars. You don't ask someone, how fulfilled are you? You ask, so what do you do? Because that's code for how much are you worth. We treat people like walking price tags. If you're rich, you're smart, ambitious, disciplined. If you're poor, you're lazy, unmotivated, a failure. Nobody stops to think one way toward exhaustion. And the funniest part, the people with the most money still aren't free. They just have bigger cages. The poor worry about bills, the rich worry about taxes, lawsuits, and who's trying to take their slice of the pie. Money doesn't free you. It just changes the flavor of your anxiety. It's like having a designer straitjacket. Sure, it's made of leather and smells expensive, but you're still trapped inside it. Money even dictates how we think about happiness. We convince ourselves that we'll be happy once we have enough. Once we get the raise, the car, the house, the trip, but the finish line keeps moving. You get one thing and suddenly it's not enough. It's like chasing a mirage in the desert. You think it's right there, but the closer you get, the further it moves. And all the while, the world tells you, buy this and you'll feel better. Spoiler alert, you won't. You'll just have a slightly more expensive way to feel empty. You ever notice how everyone's tired all the time? I'm exhausted. I need a vacation. I can't keep doing this. You think it's coincidence? No, it's money draining people's life force. Every bill, every due date, every low balance notification is like another straw in your soul's milkshake. And we all just keep drinking it because we have no choice. You can't opt out of money. You can't say, no thanks, I'll just live off the land. The land's owned by someone else. And guess what? They want rent. And here's the kicker. Money doesn't just control your emotions in the present. It controls your memories and your dreams. You look back at the good old days and you realize you were only happy because you weren't worrying about money yet. You dream about the future and all your dreams revolve around not having to work, not having to stress, not having to owe. Even your fantasies are financially motivated. I want to travel. Translation, I want enough money to not panic about traveling. I want freedom. Translation, I want to stop checking my account every 2 hours. Money is like a puppeteer, and your emotions are the strings. It knows when to pull, how to make you jump, when to make you smile, and when to make you cry. And it's so subtle that most of us don't even notice it happening. We think we're living our lives, but really we're reacting to the balance in our bank accounts. When it's high, we feel confident, generous, even loving. When it's low, we're irritable, anxious, and withdrawn. That's not freedom. That's emotional slavery dressed in business casual. You ever see someone drop their wallet and panic like they lost a child? Or see someone's face when they lose their credit card like their entire identity just disappeared? That's what money does to us. It fuses itself into our sense of self. Without it, we feel incomplete, invisible, worthless, and yet it's all imaginary, just numbers on a screen, digits that could vanish with a single system glitch. Your happiness is literally dependent on pixels behaving properly. So yeah, money owns your emotions, your time, your choices, your relationships, your whole damn life. And we all keep pretending like we're in charge, like we're the ones managing it. But deep down, we know the truth. Money's the one running the show. It tells us when to wake up, when to sleep, when to eat, when to panic, when to smile. And if you're really unlucky, it even tells you when to stop dreaming. Because you can't afford to dream when you're too busy surviving. That's the punchline of the modern world. We don't own money. It owns us. And it's not even polite enough to buy us dinner first. Freedom. That's the word everyone likes to throw around. We say it like it's a birthright, like it's something you automatically get just for existing. I'm free, we say. I can do whatever I want. But can you really? Can you just wake up tomorrow, quit your job, move to the mountains and live on your own terms? No, you can't, because freedom has been replaced by finance. You're not free, you're funded. And when the funding stops, so does your so-called freedom. People love to talk about financial freedom, like it's some magical state you reach after decades of servitude. They make it sound so simple. Work hard, save money, invest wisely, retire early. But let's be honest. Most of us are just trying to survive until payday without losing our sanity. You can't think about freedom when you're calculating how to stretch a tank of gas for another week. And the funny part? The very thing you think will give you freedom, money, is the same thing keeping you chained to the grind. They sell us this dream. If you work hard enough, you'll be rich. And once you're rich, you'll be free. But here's the catch. By the time you finally have enough, you've spent your entire life chasing it. You've missed birthdays, skipped vacations, sacrificed your peace, your sleep, and your health, all in pursuit of something that was never designed to satisfy you. You don't even notice how deep the trap goes because society taught you from birth that this is normal. Work hard, they said, save your money. But they never mentioned that prices would rise faster than your salary or that your retirement fund would depend on a stock market you have zero control over. We confuse having money with being free, but those are two very different things. Having money just means you have more comfortable ways to be controlled. You still wake up early, you still answer to someone, and you still depend on the system to keep your numbers up. Even millionaires aren't truly free. They're slaves to their businesses, their investors, their taxes, their reputations. They can't even go offline for a week without their empire collapsing or someone suing them. That's not freedom, that's golden handcuffs. True freedom isn't about having more, it's about needing less. But that's a dangerous idea, isn't it? Because the world runs on your need. Every billboard, every commercial, every influencer on your feed is there to convince you that you're incomplete until you buy whatever they're selling. They tell you that you'll be happier, sexier, more successful, more confident. all for 3 easy payments of $49.99. You think you're buying a product, but what you're really buying is dependency. The more you buy, the more you need. The more you have, the more you fear losing it. And before you know it, your freedom is gone, traded away for the illusion of comfort. The irony is that people will fight harder to protect their money than their freedom. You can take away their privacy, their time, their dignity, and they'll tolerate it. But mess with their wallet? Now you've got a revolution. Money is the leash we gladly wear. We bark when it jingles and sit quietly when it's gone. People don't even realize how domesticated they've become. You think you're working for a better life, but really, you're just earning enough to keep the system running smoothly, the same system that's designed to make sure you never get out. Freedom isn't something you can buy. It's something you feel when you stop letting money dictate every choice you make. But we've been trained to equate success with wealth. So if you're not chasing money, people look at you like you've lost your mind. You ever tell someone you're not interested in being rich? They stare at you like you just confessed to eating batteries. What do you mean you don't want to be rich? They say. Because to them, not chasing money means not chasing happiness. We've forgotten that happiness existed long before money did. People used to find joy in things that didn't cost anything. Connection, time, nature, laughter. But now everything has a price tag. You can't even sit in a park without someone trying to sell you bottled water or a monthly subscription to mindfulness. The world has monetized peace. We've built a civilization where silence costs extra. You pay for ad-free music, ad-free TV, ad-free thoughts, because every second of your attention is being rented out to the highest bidder. You think you own your mind, but even that's being leased through your phone screen. E-brew. The saddest part? Most people don't even question it. They defend the very system that traps them. They say things like, that's just how life is. No, that's how business is. Life itself doesn't demand you work 40 years to afford a house. Life doesn't charge rent. The earth gives freely. It's humans who started charging admission. Somewhere along the line, we traded freedom for convenience and called it progress. We let money replace meaning. We let our worth be measured by our wages. Quai Berceau. You see it everywhere. People stuck in jobs they hate, afraid to quit because they have responsibilities. Translation, I owe people money. Debt has become the new slavery. Only this time, the chains are invisible and the plantation is digital. You work, you pay, you repeat. And they call that adulthood. You're not living, you're just maintaining. You're not free, you're just well behaved. E-brokery. And let's talk about time. The one currency you can never get back. You spend your time earning money, then spend your money trying to enjoy the little time you have left. It's a sick loop. You wake up, go to work, come home exhausted, eat, sleep, repeat, all while telling yourself, someday I'll be free, but that day never comes. The system's not built to set you free. It's built to keep you productive. You're too tired to revolt, too distracted to reflect, and too scared to stop. The truth is, real LTH isn't measured in how much you earn, but in how much you can live without. If you can wake up and do what you love without worrying about debt or approval or status, that's freedom. If you can say no without fear, that's freedom. If you can enjoy a day without checking your phone, your inbox, or your balance, that's freedom. But it takes courage to live that way because it means stepping outside the system that everyone else worships. People think freedom means having options, but most of our options are just different brands of the same cage. You can choose which car loan, which mortgage, which subscription, which phone plan, but the structure stays the same. You're still locked in. True freedom means you're not defined by those choices. You could walk away tomorrow and still feel whole. But how many people can say that honestly? Most can't even go a day without checking their bank app. We don't own our money. Our money owns us, and we've accepted it like it's normal. You can't buy freedom because freedom doesn't live in your wallet. It lives in your mind, and your mind can't be free as long as it's programmed to believe that everything valuable has a price. When you stop chasing money and start valuing moments, that's when life begins to make sense again. But good luck selling that idea. There's no profit in peace. Hebrew. So maybe it's time we redefine what success really means. Maybe it's not about the car, the house, or the paycheck. Maybe it's about waking up without dread, living without debt, and going to bed without regret. Maybe it's about choosing purpose over paycheck, time over tension, and simplicity over status. Because the more you chase wealth, the further you drift from freedom. And the more you depend on money, the more it owns your mind. We keep talking about building a better future, but maybe the future we need isn't richer, it's freer. A world where we value people for who they are, not what they earn. A world where happy. Ness isn't something you have to buy in monthly installments. A world where you can breathe, laugh, and live without counting every second or every cent. That's real wealth. That's real freedom. And it starts the moment you stop letting money tell you who you are.